Have you ever looked at yourself and thought, is this really how I'm going to spend the rest of my working years? And if I'm lucky enough to retire one day, will I honestly be able to look back and say, that was the life I wanted to live?
Well, that was me just over a year ago. I gave up a good career with a stable income, a company car, with only a modest amount of savings.
No pension lined up, and no real plan. And now, 1 year later, I'm going to tell you how I've managed to pay my way and the lessons I've learned.
I'm 54 now. I was 53 when I gave up my career. I left school at 16. I had a very modest education in a normal comprehensive. I didn't do any further education. So I did what a lot of people do. I just fell into a job that paid the bills and enjoyed my life. So when an opportunity came up where an area manager offered me a role and a job on the road in a technical capacity in the same industry, I said, why not challenge myself? And I was lucky enough to get a job that totally changed my life. My money doubled overnight. I got bonuses. I had a company vehicle. I had healthcare. Then that unforsaken time happened in 2020. And when we all returned back to work, it was never the same. The company found that they weren't profitable anymore and they basically closed their doors. Now, because I'd been there 15 years, I did okay out of that. I got a half-decent redundancy. I wasn't really of the thinking that I wanted to rush into something. I wanted to take some time out. But again, I didn't learn my lesson. And I started jumping around from one thing to another, and it eats away at your redundancy money, your savings. And I wasn't really focused. So then one of my colleagues phoned me and said, look, there's an opportunity where I'm working, similar job to what I had before at a company that's bigger, multinational, and I'd had aspirations to work for in years gone by. And I thought, yeah, why not? This great opportunity, go back similar money to what I was on before and get all those benefits back and not have to worry about where the next bill's going to be paid. So I started this job, all's well, done my inductions, got back out on the road, and it was never the same. I never felt the same as I did years previously at my other role before COVID. I wasn't enjoying it. It felt like I was at school. I was following too many rules, being told where I've got to be. The job's changed a lot. You're tracked. You've got to justify every single moment of your day. You've got sales targets to hit. But there's so much scrutiny now that there's no room for creativity. And what I'd learned during the time I'd had off is that I believe humans should be creative in some aspect, but being creative and being able to have input into how, especially as a salesperson, how you grow the business is fundamental, I believe. And when that's taken away from you, it's like, what's the point? I was earning good money, but what I ended up doing, I had a camper van, a boat, 2 motorbikes, and that's when things started to take a turn. I have to have an annual blood test because I'm on high blood pressure medication and high cholesterol. A lot of people in their 50s suffer with these ailments and be put onto medication. I got a letter from my most recent blood test and they said, you're now pre-diabetic. And it really hit home to me because I know that I hadn't been treating myself right because I'm out on the road, I'm stopping at McDonald's twice a week. I'm not eating the best. I started drinking more, having a bottle of wine with every dinner. And I was like, yeah, I'm not doing right by myself. I am treating myself badly. I need to rethink my whole life. And without speaking to anyone, I didn't want to speak to my colleagues because I knew I took my way out of it. I'm an overthinker. I just phoned up my boss in the morning and said, look, I'm sorry, but I want to hand my notice in. And yeah, they were quite shocked. And then when my colleagues found out, they're like, Wayne, what are you doing? Take it back, they'll take it back, take it back, they'll let you take it back. But I knew that wasn't the right thing for me. I wanted to put my health first. It's much more important. I wanted to put my health first and my career second. I wanted to do with the rest of my days what I want to do with my time. I want to enjoy every day. I don't want that Sunday dread feeling again. But I'm thankful to them people. It wasn't the job. It was me that's changed. And that's why I had to take control of my life. But quitting wasn't the brave part. It was surviving the year after. When you've worked your whole life, that's what becomes your identity. That's who you are. Hence why I could get jobs in that industry, because of the experience I've had. You can just jump from job to job, get more money, and be relatively happy, do the things you want to do, support a family. But my finances are becoming more important than my time. And how I spent my time wasn't fundamental to my health and my well-being. So I had to change that somehow. But I only by now had a modest amount of savings. I had about under £20,000, but I needed to buy a car because I'd already sold my motorbikes. Still had the camper van, still got the camper van. I haven't got a pension. I've got a pension that I've paid into that I can't access until 67 or whatever it will be by the time I retire. So I can't count on that in the future. So I set about how can I earn money quickly so I don't squander all my savings. So I looked around the house and I've got all this stuff that I've had for 30 years I'm probably emotionally attached to. Action figures, toys for men. I'd had since I was in my 20s and I used to collect stuff, but they're still in their packaging. I just kept carrying them from house to house. I'm not using them, I'm not going to play with them, am I? But so I just started selling off all these bits and pieces that I'd become emotionally attached to that I didn't need. And I was surprised how much money some of this stuff was worth. I was getting, now these action figures, I mean, in the 1990s probably cost me £10 each. I was getting like £150 for each of them. And I was selling them on eBay and I was enjoying it. It was like a weight being lifted off me emotionally to get rid of this stuff. And some of this was collectible now, and I never realised it was just junk. So I managed to make some money out of doing that. And I decided that it's actually not a bad way to earn some money so you don't squander your savings, is to resell. It helps to do that if you have an interest in something because you understand what might be worth money. So I sold all my motorbike stuff first and then continued to buy stuff and sell it at various places. And I managed to offset using up my savings, which is great. And that challenge, waking up every day and selling things, gives you a real sense of satisfaction, one that I've not felt for a long time. But let's be honest here, I'm not earning anything like the money I used to get. So, the holidays to Bali can wait. Not that it worries me really, because when you spend your whole life waiting for that 1 or 2 week holiday a year, and every week you're wishing the days away, do you understand that feeling? Have you felt like that? Where you're just like already waiting for the weekend so you can spend your time how you want, and then on Sunday evening you're sitting there dreading Mondays. Oh, I hated it. In the end it was causing me insomnia. I wasn't sleeping. I was thinking, where have I got to be at 9 o'clock tomorrow? And now all that's gone. I organise my own life. I'm very organised anyway. I never want to be doing nothing. And this is where it's really changed for the positive for me, because I always start my day like this, in nature. And what a difference that makes to your life. So my real transformation didn't start with money. It started with how I spend my days. So here I am, around 1 year later, at 54. And I start my days with approximately a 5-mile walk along the river and in the countryside, being present, listening to the birds, looking at the wildlife. And the way this makes you feel is like connected. I can't really explain it. I've never really believed in that kind of aspect when people said how they felt when they spent time in nature and prioritised their health. This allows my cortisol, your stress hormone, to lower naturally, which means I sleep better for a start. And we know how important sleep is. I get at least 6-7 hours now, whereas some nights I was getting 1 hour's sleep and then waking up shattered and didn't know how I was going to make the day. So I always prioritise my walk in nature. I train with weights 3 times a week. Now that's a habit I'm already in and I would never give it up. But what I've actually done, I've scaled that into something that suits a 54-year-old man instead of trying to grow muscle at my age, which is going against the grain. What you're trying to do is stop muscle wasting as you get older. So I just do 30 minutes 3 times a week, just nothing fancy, just rows, presses, squats and curls, and that's it. And just repeat it 3 times a week. I also fast. Now, I'm lucky enough to have some people in my life that are very good on the fasting and nutrition front. So I just got some tips from them, and I now eat my last meal, or eat my meal no later than 8 p.m. on an evening, and I won't eat until 5 p.m. the following day. I could see that I was losing fat, just obviously from a lot of it's from just not eating, but I do have a very nutritious meal, so I don't eat bread and sugary things during the week at all. And what I do is I allow myself anything at weekends. It makes it so much easier. It really does. So at the weekends, I have whatever I fancy, really do. I have bacon sandwiches, sweets, I have some beers, and I really enjoy it. And I really look forward to that time. And I never feel like cheating in the week because I have that to look forward to. And because I don't dread the weeks, actually Sundays, I look forward to Monday. A few weeks ago, I got a text from the doctor's surgery, my GP surgery, saying that my blood sugar from my blood test that I'd had this year has come down into the normal level. So now I'm not pre-diabetic. So my effort has paid off. So I'm reversing the issues that I've experienced from not being happy in my life. And I can't tell you the satisfaction that gave me knowing that I'm on the right path. So the next lesson I've learned is that I don't need as much money as I thought I did to live. I call it a minimum viable income. And this is how I worked out my finances when I first sat down after giving up my career and thought, okay, let's look at this. How much do I actually need to pay the council tax, to pay the utility bills, to eat, and to have the odd treat? And then I worked out what I didn't need, what subscriptions just I didn't use really and was costing 10, 15, 20 pounds a month. And I wrote it down, and you'd be surprised. My minimum viable income to just be able to exist really, and I'm not saying this is for everyone, was £1,000 a month. Now I'm lucky I do own my own house already, so I haven't got to find rent or mortgage. But if you do, you just need to do it to your level. And I had to buy a car, so I've had to buy my own car. And I looked at it and thought, okay, so if I can make £1,000 a month, I'm not going to start eating into the rest of my savings too much, and it will last me longer. Now, even if I can make this kind of life last, as long as I can, and then I have to go and take a job if I really have to, you'd have to do that. That's how I convinced myself that I could do this. So obviously, you can do more if you want, and I could scale this up, but this isn't really what I want to do with my life. So the next lesson is look at what you have and what do you really need? Do you ever look around your house and think, are these things actually serving me at all in my life? These things that cost me so much money. And actually having a purge on some of these things, you'd be surprised how that emotional weight lifting off you can really make you feel better. And then you realise you're not reliant so much on how much wages you earn or how many holidays you need and all these things that we believe we need. I want something real. I want to feel something. I want to enjoy the rest of my time. We all see people, when you get to this age, you start seeing colleagues, friends and family start to pass on, and that can have a really profound effect on how you think about life and how you perceive it, and it certainly has on me. So once I'd sold all of my possessions, I realised that I either needed to jump into what I wanted to do for a career, get another job, or find another way to get more products to sell. So in the time that I've had, what I've learned is basically anything can sell. And I discovered a way of making money called vintage arbitrage. The satisfaction you get when you bought something for say £15 and then sell it for 50 or 60, it's a real sense of satisfaction. That dopamine hit you get is so valuable in your day compared to how sterile I thought when I earned the same money, even though it was a few £1,000s. I knew that was going to be in my bank account every month, and it was just like, there was no excitement to it. If you earned a bonus, it was nice, but I never really respected it. When you have to earn your money, and when you do it yourself, all yourself, it really does give you a sense of satisfaction. And these are all things I've only discovered because I forced myself into this situation. So there's a couple of ways that you can think about how to make enough money. As I say, sometimes I have less than £1,000 if it's a bad month. Sometimes I earn quite a bit more. It just depends on what you can source. Because I started going to boot sales, and the stuff you see at boot sales, you can pick things up for £5, sell them for 30, 40, all different types of things. You just look for stuff that you know is worth more money than what they're asking for it. And it's a nice way to spend your day. So you get up early at the weekend and go and do that, gets you out the house. And then I discovered online auction. Now I thought, this is good. Look, there's loads of kitchen equipment like Ninja blenders and products like that. Going for £10 and, I can sell them on eBay. I'd done my research. What I didn't realise was this was all returns because some of it was broken. So I bought boxes of this kitchen equipment, and a lot of it turned out to be junk. Not all of it. In fact, some products, I bought a whole bundle of kitchen items. I think I bought 6 items, including blenders, a coffee grinder, for about £30. And a coffee grinder in there, nothing wrong with it. Managed to sell it for 150. That's probably my best return of investment. But some of the other stuff, I just thought, it's junk. But actually, I didn't realise you can sell it as parts on eBay, and it's worth a lot of money because blenders, for example, the motors tend to go, but the jugs and the blades are worth money. So I started to learn that you could just sell them, and you'd be surprised how much people will pay for these because they're spares. Otherwise, they've got to pay the company that manufactured it an exorbitant amount to try and get hold of them parts. Even the old cable drawer at home, and you've just got tangled up cables, and it's just there because in case you ever need it, and you've probably got things that are 20 years old in there. But actually, it can be a gold mine. I had some old TomTom plugs of old navigation systems. I've sold some of these plugs, just plugs that you'd throw away. £10 on eBay, it's just money for nothing really. And when you realise this, you can look for this stuff and ask your family, friends for stuff, and they'll just give it to you. And then you can turn that into money. And it's really satisfying. But the most important part of all this was, it gave my time back. Time to think, time to rebuild even. Time to learn the skills that I want for my future life, which is I'm spending half of my time learning new skills in marketing, which I'm interested in, and digital marketing and online marketing. So I've invested in my time, but I have time to do that. And then otherwise I could spend my time reselling, but it's not really what I want to do. But I'd much rather do that. If you said to me, oh, you can earn £1,000, and carry on what you're doing, you can earn £5,000, even £10,000, and go back to your old life. I honestly would choose this life. And I know that won't suit everyone. As I say, you have to work it out for yourself. You have to think what is important to you, your responsibilities. If you've got a family, obviously they come first. But you can still do this. You never know. You can restructure your life differently to make it serve you better. So I've certainly done that, and I didn't have a clue how it was going to turn out. All I knew is I had a will to do it. I've managed to turn around my health. Now, hopefully in the future, I'll be able to earn, when I get to the point where I'm earning the same money as what I earned in my old job, but doing what I want to do, I think that will be a significant time of my life. So with the biggest lesson being, it isn't about money. It's about what matters in your life once you stop rushing about. That's what's important. When you're in your 50s, you realise something deeply uncomfortable. You've lived quite a bit more of your life than you've got left to live. And that can either scare you or it can set you free. So here are the 4 main lessons I've learned in this year since I gave up my career. 1, time is worth much more than money. Yes, it's probably cliche, but you can always get more money. But I'm sorry, when your time's up, that's it. Lesson number 2, you only need enough money. You don't need excess. Once you work out your minimum viable income, everything else becomes easier. Lesson number 3, your health isn't optional. It's foundational for you to have any kind of future that you look forward to. Lesson number 4, you don't need anyone's permission to change your life. I didn't ask anyone's opinion. And sometimes that's exactly what you need to do. So that's my life. A man of 53 gave up his decently paid career to change his life. And I would say that I've achieved that. And it's still a journey I'm on. And I think it's important to remember that it is a journey. And it's so nice to wake up every single day with that kind of enthusiasm that I haven't felt for so long. In this video, you've seen how I made that decision, what pushed me to go there, and how things are 1 year later. In this next video, I'll walk you through my exact daily routine, the structure that keeps me healthy and earning enough to live simply but freely. Until the next time.